It will not take long. They are around here now.
Okay, so we have with us the political leader of the Democratic People's Party. Is going to be talking about some national issues, especially reacting to the statement recently released by the U.S. ambassador to Liberia. So this is members of the press. This is Reverend David Kim. Reverend?
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, members of the public, fellow Liberians, the Acting Executive Committee of the Democratic People's Party of Liberia extends thanks and appreciation to the government and people of the United States of America through its embassy near Monrovia for working to support democracy and to fight corruption in Liberia. Recent statement by the U.S. Ambassador to Liberia, Michael A. McCarthy, entitled "What Will J.G. Ravels Have to Say About Liberia Today?" and issued on the occasion of the celebration of the life of Liberia's first president, is a welcome statement. It is a realistic, honest, fair statement and is a caution to this George Weah-led government to pay attention to what should be important to the government. It is a very transparent assessment of how poorly this government is doing when it comes to the fight against corruption and violations of the rule of law and the abuse of human rights. Realistically, I do not think that former President J.G. Ravels will commend this government of President George M. Weah for leading a country where clinics and hospitals in Kolahun in Lofa County and Saniquilin in Nimba County must make do without even the most basic drugs. The revelation by the U.S. ambassador that some citizens divert public medical resources and low-cost drugs for personal gain, something which results in deaths of babies, young children, and birthing mothers, is not only troubling, it is extremely embarrassing, a disgrace, shameful, and is a demonstration that we in Liberia are losing the fight against corruption. It is an indication that this government is doing very little to uproot corruption in public agencies. The state of cleanliness in the city of Monrovia, which in the ambassador's assessment is more developed and a far wealthier community compared to villages in West Africa, is a serious caution to the George Weah-led government, which has again scored a 0% grade point in the government's handling of waste, not only in Monrovia, but in Liberia's major cities like the Unification Town in Lower Magibi County, Kakata in Upper Magibi County, Banga, Ganta, and Buchanan, just to name a few of the dirty cities. I am very certain that President J.G. Ravels will never have thought of leading a wealthy but a dirty city as Monrovia. He would never have commended this government for leading a dirty, filthy, and a corrupt country. The frustration expressed by a senior government official on Monrovia Day and echoed by the ambassador that no donor or external partner is funding the current cost of solid waste management, collection, and disposal, implying that he was abandoned by the international community, is a clear indication that some members of this government have very little or no understanding of the workings of the international community. The international community should never be taken to be a waste management officer for local governments which they come to help. Even more disappointing for me and many other Liberian citizens is the revelation by the U.S. ambassador that Liberia's top legislative body has not demonstrated or has no intention to demonstrate transparency in the way it makes decisions. Why would our representatives not use electronic voting equipment donated to them to make their work easy and transparent? I'd like to thank Rhode Island Representative Nathan W. Beer Sr. and the National Democratic Institute, NDI, for those precious public. Holding our lawmakers accountable is a fundamental element to show that democracy is healthy and strong in Liberia. I call on the government of President Weah to take the statement by the U.S. ambassador in good faith and see it as a caution to those within his government who like to undermine the rule of law and the trust of the Liberian people, and those who are corrupt like to always violate the rights of other human beings, that their days are numbered. Those who are involved with acts that threaten the peace and security of this nation are known by the international community and are known by the people of Liberia. They are being followed by the international community, just as they are being followed by the people of Liberia. And that someday, maybe very soon, they will be made to pay for their actions. The ambassador's statement is a call to this George Weah-led government and all of us Liberian citizens to redouble our efforts to fight corruption, to redouble our efforts to advance the cause of human rights, to redouble our efforts to take our responsibility to clean our cities, to redouble our efforts to advance the rule of law, to redouble our efforts to move away from acts that threaten the peace and security of Liberia. Ambassador McCarthy's statement is a call and a warning to President Weah and his government that it is now time to implement critical economic reforms necessary to accelerate sustainable economic growth and human capital development. A hint to the wise. He who has an ear, let him hear. I want to thank you for your time and thank you for listening to me. God bless Liberia and save our state.
Okay, we're going to take at least, let's say, 3 questions. So any institution, that's any institution, you can go ahead and ask a question. That relates to what was discussed here. Since you guys are clear, I can ask one question, Mary.
Yes.
Choke on from fabric and spoon. Now, someone will say that the statement, though the statement came under this government by the ambassador, but over the years, you know, the corruption that they talk about, that the ambassador mentioned, these are accumulated crime committed. So why didn't you speak to past administrations?
I didn't speak to past administrations because everyone who intends to lead government wants to come to leadership to correct things that have been going wrong in the past. So President Weah is no exception. His desire to be president was an expression of his desire to correct the things about this country addressing some of these issues that undermine the rule of law, and we are losing the fight against corruption. I have not seen him take serious steps to punish people who are corrupt people. It is his leadership that's on hand now, and he has to be the one to take responsibility as the current leader to make right the wrongs of the past, even if he were not the leader. That's why we start with him, and we get hard on him, because he should be doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then I think we have to call it, if no question, but someone will say the opposition community, you are the only person who is here, you are the only person speaking to this matter. We haven't heard from the entire opposition.
You know, in my understanding, to say that one is an opposition leader doesn't mean that that person is anti-government. And so my response and my reaction to the ambassador's statement is to help our government and our leader to understand that we are being looked at, we are being watched. He also, as our leader, is being looked at. He is being watched by the international community and even the citizens. So that's why I say he should take the ambassador's statement in good faith. And as an opposition leader, I am not an enemy to President Weah. In fact, I should be an advisor. And if things are going wrong, you know, just because I am not a part of his government or I am not a sedition does not mean I should sit down and allow him go down the drain. As a good opposition, I like to also have opportunity to advise him on the things that he needs to do. That's what a viable opposition needs to do. Viable opposition is not about fighting, you know, the leadership or the government. It's being responsible. When they do right, you say, gentlemen, you guys did right in this area. When they do wrong, you should also be able to do the same thing. So I think I'm trying to be that opposition leader that is not an enemy of the government. But at the same time, I'm not going to be afraid to tell the government when she goes wrong. That's the kind of opposition I want to be.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, corruption. Do you one way support the kind of sanction that's expected, maybe probably taking on officials of government?
Yeah, you know, the issue of sanction is an accountability issue. So to answer your question, yes, I do stand for sanction against corrupt leaders, those who undermine the rule of law and the judicial system and the peace and security of this country. As individuals, I approve that the government of the United States places sanction on them. What I don't approve is a sanction on the government, because a sanction on the government is a sanction on the people, and it is the people I'm fighting for. So I would not agree with America to place sanctions on the government, but individuals that are within the government that are corrupt. Let the government place, or let the U.S. government place sanctions on them as individuals, not the government, because the government is the people. To place a sanction on the government will be placing sanction on the people of Liberia, and we don't stand for that. We will not encourage that, and we pray that the U.S. government does not go that route for the sake of the Liberian people. Do not put sanction on the government of Liberia, but place sanction on individuals within the government who are corrupt and undermining the peace and security of this country.
Yeah, from my end, in regards to the in regards to the ambassador's statement, is this something that you have not seen in the government, especially in regard to corruption, or were you just waiting for someone to bring it up before you make your statement in regards to that?
No, I've made some statements about corrupt people in government before, and have recommended that even the President Weah take step against certain things within the country. I think when he pardoned Honorable Brani Samukai, I was one of those who spoke against that position, that it undermines the rule of law, and he should have allowed this brother to go to jail just as the legal system demanded, and then maybe for some time, if he had been there to demonstrate that we have an intention to hold people accountable, then after that you can do the pardoning. I spoke against that, so it's not only the U.S. ambassador's statement that's given me an opportunity, but again, the U.S. ambassador's statement to our country and to our government and our leader is a statement that every good-hearted